Welcome back to Drive Sense Garage, and this is part 2 of our breakdown on the 25% tariff on foreign cars announced by President Donald Trump. If you missed part 1, we covered what was announced, why the tariffs are being introduced, and how it could affect new car prices, used vehicle demand, and automaker strategy in the US. Now we're turning the lens toward what this means for the people, politicians, unions, drivers, and car lovers. Let's pick it back up with how the country is reacting. The political response was immediate. Republican lawmakers and candidates were quick to support the move, calling it a long overdue correction and a step toward economic independence. They say it's about putting American workers first and encouraging companies to invest more in domestic production. But across the aisle, the criticism came just as fast. Several Democratic leaders, economists, and centrists argued that while the intention might be good, the short-term cost could fall directly on working Americans. A few have even warned that this move could worsen inflation, especially when buyers are already struggling with high prices across the board. A CBS and YouGov poll released days after the announcement showed mixed feelings. Trump's overall approval rating held steady around 50%, but when asked specifically about tariffs, over 55% of Americans said they were concerned he's focusing too much on trade penalties and not enough on day-to-day affordability. 64% said they wanted more immediate relief from inflation, not policies that could raise the cost of essential goods like vehicles. So what about the labor unions? The United Auto Workers, or UAW, released a statement that walked the line. Their president, Shawn Fain, acknowledged that the tariffs could bring more production back to U.S. soil, a win for the union. But he also made it clear, any new jobs created by this policy must come with strong labor protections, competitive wages, and long-term commitments. The union supports reshoring, but not at the expense of fair pay or job security. So, from Capitol Hill to union halls, the reaction is split. Some see this as a bold, patriotic move. Others view it as a gamble with serious consequences. Now let's zoom in even further, to the car community itself. Across online forums, dealership floors, and Reddit threads, the conversation is already buzzing. And depending on who you ask, this tariff is either a long-awaited correction or an unnecessary headache. Let's start with those who are excited. Enthusiasts who already favor American brands say this is a win. They believe the policy could push manufacturers to bring more design and production back to the US, which could eventually lead to more distinctive American cars, trucks, and SUVs. Fans of classic muscle, V8 pickups, and homegrown brands are calling this a wake-up call, a way to support the domestic auto scene and level the playing field with foreign automakers. But then there are the import fans. If you're into JDM performance, German engineering, or imported EVs, this policy creates concern. Some worry that parts for cars like the Nissan GT-R, Toyota Supra, or even the GR Corolla could get more expensive or harder to find. Others point out that many of their favorite models, even if sold in the US, are still built abroad. In BMW forums, owners are already speculating on how much longer the X5 or 3 Series will stay affordable. Dealers are noticing the shift too. Reports from the industry suggest a growing interest in used vehicles, especially for clean imports that are already here and unaffected by tariffs. One dealership in Atlanta said they saw a 15% increase in inquiries about certified pre-owned Hondas, Mazdas, and Subarus within just a few days of the announcement. EV buyers are also watching closely. While Tesla builds all its cars in the US and may gain ground from this move, other popular EVs like the Hyundai Ioniq 5, the Kia EV6, and the Nissan Ariya are produced outside the country. If tariffs raise prices on those vehicles, it could reshape the competitive landscape in the electric vehicle space almost overnight. So what comes next? Let's break it down, short-term and long-term. In the short term, expect new car prices to climb for certain models. Cars and SUVs built outside the US could see a direct markup of thousands of dollars, especially once dealers pass those costs down to buyers. At the same time, demand for used vehicles is likely to grow, especially for import models that are already in the country and not subject to the tariff. This could lead to price increases in the used market, along with tighter inventory for certain brands and trim levels. Buyers may also start paying closer attention to where their vehicle is made, not just who makes it. A Toyota made in Kentucky may suddenly be more attractive than a Chevy assembled in Mexico. That shift in buyer behavior could ripple across the industry. Looking ahead to the long term, things could get even more interesting. Some foreign automakers may choose to invest more heavily in US plants, adding jobs and production lines to avoid the tariff altogether. Others might cut back on US models or redirect certain production to other countries with favorable trade agreements. American automakers could see a short-term sales boost, but they'll also need to manage supply chain challenges, especially if they rely on parts made in Mexico, Canada, or overseas. And then there's the electric vehicle question. If this policy holds over the next few years, companies like Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid, all of which build their cars in the US, could gain serious momentum. Meanwhile, foreign EV manufacturers may need to rethink where and how they produce cars for the American market, especially if they want to stay competitive. One thing to keep in mind is that tariffs can change quickly. Future administrations may modify or cancel them, depending on political priorities or global events. For now, buyers should stay flexible, research carefully, and keep an eye on the fine print, especially where a car is assembled and where its key parts are sourced. So let's wrap this up with a few key takeaways. First, This isn't just a political talking point. It's a real policy change that could affect what you pay for your next vehicle. Second, it impacts more than just foreign brands. Any car built outside the US, including some models from Ford, Chevy, and Dodge, could be affected. Third, prices are expected to rise for certain vehicles while used car demand may increase, especially for desirable imports. Fourth, automakers will likely shift strategy, including building more cars in the US, which could reshape the job market in the auto industry. And finally, while this may help bring back manufacturing, it could also raise costs for buyers, spark trade retaliation, and add more complexity to an already competitive car market. So, now it's your turn. Are you planning to buy a new car this year? Does this tariff change your decision, or are you holding out to see how it all plays out? Let us know in the comments. We read everyone. And if this video helped you understand what's happening behind the headlines, hit that like button. It helps the channel grow, and it tells us you want more videos like this. If you haven't already, subscribe to DriveSense Garage and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest uploads. Thanks for riding with us, and until next time, drive safe, stay sharp, and keep your gears turning.